Here we all are having a pandemic Christmas experience. We're sheltering in place this Christmas Eve, and I got to thinking about the amazing memories that I have related to Christmas in Woodstock. If I inspire you to share your recollections about Christmas in Woodstock with the Historical Society of Woodstock, you can send them to me at historicalsocietyofwoodstocknewyork@gmail.com. My earliest memories of Christmas are not related to the Village Green experience. When I was very small, we spent one Christmas living with my grandmother, Ruth Davis, on her home on Ohio Mountain Road in Woodstock. It's a very short snippet of a recollection. I was awakened by the sound of sleigh bells. No family members were up, and I remember looking out the window. The glass pane was freezing cold against my skin, and I looked up at the dark, starlit sky and thought, it must be Santa. A few years later, when I was around 10, we were in our Xena farmhouse. I was the first one up. I came down the long staircase, and as I stepped into the living room, the Christmas tree was lit with tiny white bulbs, and it glowed. The sparkling tinsel was just shimmering there on the tree. And the presents were piled high around, and underneath the tree, to my delight and amazement, was a large toy stuffed dog, and it was azure blue, and it had a big blue bow on it, and it was one of my most memorable Christmas presents as a kid. And that's it really for Christmas memories for me. I'm very thin on them. Now, the family that I married into, the Mowers of Maple Lane, have some grand Christmas Eve stories. They would decorate their tree on Christmas Eve, and that was after the Village Green visit. They would all walk up to the center of town and enjoy the music and watch Santa arrive, and then everyone would head back to the house on Maple Lane and have some appetizers and other food, and then they would decorate the tree. And yes, the Mauer kids did witness Santa float down from the Dutch Reformed Church steeple to the area where the War Memorial Monument is. As they tell their story, they were at the age where they were beginning to question the existence of Santa. And they were standing in front of the post office, and that's where the Woodstock Trading Post is now. And when they saw Santa climb around the steeple and leap down, he seemed to float down to the ground. Any doubts of the existence of Santa Claus were erased from their minds. Speaking of Christmas spirit in Woodstock, a less often recalled Christmas Eve tradition was the open house events that were held by Pepper's Garage, Ken's Exxon, and Woodstock Mobile. At around noon on Christmas Eve, each gas station would open their doors to their patrons, and they would all celebrate with holiday libations and snacks. Attendees would walk from garage to garage, and they're sharing their Christmas greetings with each other and partaking in Christmas Eve spirits. When our kids were little, John and I would continue the tradition of visiting the green and waiting in line to see Santa and pick up the stockings that were provided by the Christmas Eve committee. In about the 1980s, the crowd of people that was coming to see Santa became very large, and the experience of standing in line to wait and see Santa and then collect your stockings started to include too much pushing and shoving for my liking. At about the same time, Maureen and Jimmy Scales were running the Woodstock pub. We changed our Christmas Eve tradition to include arriving at the pub around 4 o'clock, getting ourselves set up in the front corner. Our kids were old enough now, and we all looked forward to this incredible meet and greet that would go on there at the pub on Christmas Eve. People who were home from the holidays knew they could come and touch base with everyone at the pub. It was an amazing amount of festive energy, and of course we were enjoying hot chocolate and other holiday libations. At some point, someone would come dashing through the door and announce, "Santa has arrived," and the designated adults would gather up the children, and they would all head out and get at the end of the line, miss all the pushing and shoving, and get their Christmas stockings. So I'm thankful for the wonderful memories that sustain me through this pandemic experience that we're having, and it's time to put on my celebration hat and have a little bit of that holiday libation and say Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone. Cheers.